Hi, welcome to segment one, What We Eat. It seems that there's very little that an American won't eat, except maybe some vegetables. Just look around, half the population is overweight, and about a third of the population is approaching morbidly obese. I was reading earlier this week that the average teenage girl today is 15 pounds heavier than the average teenage girl was in 1970. In 1970, I was 16 years old, and I can attest to this. Cardiovascular disease, cancer, diabetes, arthritis are all heavily influenced by diet and largely preventable. Diabetes used to be called adult onset diabetes, and you would see people with this diagnosis. They were, 40, 50, 60 years old. You don't hear adult onset diabetes anymore. Now, what you hear just is diabetes, and the reason is that the onset, you see teenagers, people in their 20s and 30s coming in with this. Um, some people feel that diabetes may actually be the greatest threat to our country currently. So, what should we be eating? Let's talk about some healthy choices. That's the easiest, really. Um, our mothers always wanted us to eat, fresh fruits and vegetables and avoid the junk. Well, the truth of the matter is that they're still right. We should be eating 70% fruit and vegetables and 30%, proteins and starches. The fruits and the vegetables, actually, the bulk of it should be in the fresh vegetable department. Uh, Vegetables should be lightly steamed. So when you're steaming them, as soon as you begin to smell them in the room, then you know it's actually done. That's when it's the best for you. As a general rule, fruits are used for cleansing and rehydrating, while vegetables are used for rebuilding your health. So that leaves us 15% for protein. Now, there's nowhere that it says that we have to consume protein in the form of flesh. Brown rice and almost any legume makes a complete protein that's very absorbable. Um, it's actually more absorbable than chicken and beef. If you're going to be eating flesh, I suggest that you eat deep cold water fish like salmon or something like that, maybe 2 to 3 times a week. A lot of people like to use dairy as a protein source. The problem is that dairy is the number one food allergen known to the human race. Um, it's very much implicated in heart disease, cancer, diabetes, arthritis, gastrointestinal problems, chronic allergies, sinuses, things like that. I don't recommend it at all. And once again, if you're going to be eating this, I recommend that you rotate it so that you wouldn't be eating it any more than every 4 or 5 days. Every day somebody asks me about, well, what about eggs? Aren't they dairy? And the truth of the matter is, no, they're not dairy. They just happen to be sold in the same aisle, so that people consider them together. It's chicken versus cow. If you're going to be eating eggs, I would suggest that you use omega-3 eggs, organic if you can. Egglands makes a good product. Once again, they are a bit of an allergenic food, so I would consider rotating them every 3 to 4 days. We need to avoid the three whites in our diets, that is sugar, salt, and white flour. If you're eating in restaurants, often you're consuming more of these than you actually think you are. In order to change our diets, Americans actually have to change what we buy because we actually grow very little of our own food. For those that are growing their own, when we're in the supermarket, it's best to be shopping mostly in the perimeter of the store because that's where the freshest food is. And the foods in the center tend to be the ones that are most processed and prepackaged, where it's the least of the food value for us. Um, what we should do is go buy the freshest produce that we can, take it home, and actually create a meal for ourselves. Eat healthy and actually create our own health. Thank you.